focus. Ideate, innovate, enable.
The Dubai Multi-Commodities Centre's Made for Trade Live conference was recently held in Mumbai to enable DMCC's Free Zone members to connect and trade with businesses across Dubai, the UAE and the world. The aim of the conference was to help shape and grow key industries, commodities and the future of trade. The event helped in discovering how partnering with DMCC can grow one's business in Dubai and beyond.
Allow me to introduce Mr. Gautam Shashidhar and request him to please come on stage to take the program further, please.
Distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and friends, I think it is important to stress that DMCC does not want to take business away from India, nor do we want to compete for market share or export opportunities with Indian business. As a business model, this wouldn't get us very far. Instead, we want to partner with the business community here. We want to work side by side, leveraging our shared skill sets and experience to ensure Indian business is present in every market in which there is demand. The UAE and India are natural partners. Between 2006 and 2015, bilateral trade between the UAE and India increased threefold, reaching $60 billion. And according to Prime Minister Modi, this figure will grow to $100 billion by 2020. Certainly, both countries are doing all they can to reduce red tape and open doors for trade to flourish. DMCC was established to promote trade, and we believe that we've been singularly successful at that. We want businesses to set up with us and grow. We want to be the international gateway for Indian corporates, large and small. Thank you very much.
Now may I request for a keynote speech by His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Albana, Ambassador of UAE to India.
I'll stress on a couple of points, which is very, very important in reference to our bilateral relationship between the United Arab Emirates and Republic of India. If we look at the trade figures, $60 billion. India is second largest. I always say first. And the reason I say first, because sometimes when you talk about the volume and when you talk about the actual value and when you talk about the depreciation of the currency and all that, it puts India number one in terms of value of foreign trade with the United Arab Emirates. But actually in terms of volume, China is number one and number two is India. UAE is number three, but then we always say number three and we stop. But then number three after what? After who? After United States of America and China. Number three comes United Arab Emirates. So imagine, and so on. Thank you very much.
Now let me invite and request our guest of honor, Mr. Nilesh Vikamsi, President of Indian Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, to come and deliver his keynote speech.
First of all, about ICAI, we are a body which is set up under an Act of Parliament. I think that is very important to understand that generally the perception ICAI is an association of accountants. Before the Constitution of India was made in 1950, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India was formed under an Act of Parliament in 1949, even before the Constitution was made. So that was the foresightedness of our forefathers in the Parliament, that they felt that accountants is a very important profession, and even before the Constitution of India could be made, they made the Act which is regulating the accountancy profession. What are the international initiatives of the Institute. We have signed various MOUs with the countries so that there's more mobility of the professionals of chartered accountants, develop a mutually beneficial relationship in the best interest of the members and the society, to provide an opportunity for members abroad, and foster working relations between the two accounting institutes, and put accountancy institute on the global radar. So we have got MOUs with the Institute of Chartered England and Wales, with CPA Australia, with Nepal. As far as Middle East is concerned, we have got with College of Banking and Financial Studies Oman, then Higher Colleges of Technology Dubai, Saudi Organization Certified Public Accountant. In fact, we are just given a request of proposal for developing the accountancy profession in Sokpa. We don't know whether we get it or not. We'll help them. We are setting up the Bhutanese profession. In fact, the Nepal profession was set up by us. We helped them, and we got an understanding with ISACA. We are helping Afghanistan also right now. We are about training how to develop the Afghanistan accountancy profession. That work is going on. It's a pleasure to be here for this DMCC function, wishing that the India-UAE relationship going to be more and more stronger, as you saw. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Now, allow me to welcome and request our guest of honor, Lieutenant General J.S. Ahluwalia, Paramveer Seva Medal recipient and retired president. He is currently the president of Institute of Directors.
Well, the Institute of Directors in India is just like Institute of Directors in all over the globe. You have an institute by similar name or with some minor changes, which is looking after the corporate directors' welfare. It's an association. It's like a club of them. It's an autonomous body which is members of the boards are members. So what IOD was set up in 1990, its role is the relationship and how to get the directors together, keep them updated with the latest, what is required by law or regulations or otherwise functioning. Then networking, where they can get together between themselves and with outside organizations and with other countries' organizations as to how the boards are functioning elsewhere. The whole purpose is to improve the effectiveness of the boards. As far as our relationship with DMCC and Dubai, let me say, we have been conducting a number of international programs. We have been doing earlier, from 2003 onwards, a London Global Convention is held every year in the month of October. We're still doing, which is dealing with corporate governance, with the boardroom effectiveness, and with sustainability. We have all that we can do for the UAE and for Dubai. We are for it, and we'll be there and wishing them all the best. Thank you.
Notable panelists from the trade world of Dubai shared their insights on the opportunities of expanding business in Dubai and beyond.
We would like to the panel members to share their story so that the benefit can reach to all the Indian leaders over here, businessmen over here who would actually have a dream of making their enterprise global. I would like to invite first Sanjeev to come and make your presentation.
Well, basically, I'm not presenting, but just to give you a classic example of how you can expand your business in Dubai and beyond. It's a very practical kind of an example I'll give. My colleagues have spoken very extensively about the fact that we are made for trade. If you very interestingly read the fastest route to Dubai and global trade is certainly DMCC. And this very short journey of 15 years, we as the authority for trade out of Dubai, and the fact that we're trying to build this global ecosystem, we've tried to live this dream ourselves. So in order to step back and just say what would be the key elements which would attract businesses to come to Dubai, I think infrastructure is key. We're providing state-of-the-art infrastructure, very little bureaucracy, very simple to do business, so ease of doing business. Second would be marketplace. So we create and enable you participate in a marketplace. The third would be obviously the security aspect. It's a very safe place to do business. Then of course the growth opportunity is very classic and very unlimited. And last but not the least, if the lifestyle is unparalleled.
I'd now request Mr. Rajan, what do you think would be the important part between Dubai and Mumbai when the businesses can actually gain?
But in India and Dubai businesses, I mean, there can be a lot of cooperation. Basically, in India, looking for now growth in a number of areas: digital technology, smart cities. Then we have got this Make in India program, Startup India. There's a number of initiatives of the government of India, and Indian and Dubai businesses can collaborate for basically growth in India and also in Dubai, and basically also to focus on the markets, say 8-hour connectivity is there in Europe or Africa or South America. So the industries, key industries could be like, say, the pharma industry. In India, we have seen a big growth story of the pharma industry in the last 10 years, from $6 billion to $36 billion in the last 10 years, and it could grow much higher in the next. So pharma could be one big area where Indian companies can go and set up shop in DMCC, like Sun Pharma already is there, and maybe a number of other companies can consider setting up and meeting the world's requirements, entire world requirements. That could be one key area. Then businesses in Dubai can invest in smart cities in India. We've got 100 smart cities coming up in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So this could be a collaborative partnership between the Indian business and the Dubai business to take it forward.
Nimish, would you've been in Dubai so long, so what do you think Dubai offers, and particularly DMCC, to Mumbai and Indian businessmen, and what's your experience being there for so long?
My personal experience as a professional, sky is the limit when you move to Dubai. If you are focused, if your direction is right and what you want to achieve, it's achievable. I would like to say here that some of the billionaires like Mr. Yusuf Ali, Dr. B.R. Shetty, Milky Jagtiani, Dr. Azad Mupen, all move from India to UAE and they are in the list of billionaires. So UAE and India relationship, which Your Excellency already mentioned about the trade relationship and partnership, which itself highlights that there is a plenty of opportunities for each and every Indians as well as each and every Arab sitting in UAE for the cross-border opportunities.
Vikas, you have a long exposure on that. So let's hear from you. Why should Indian businessmen look towards Dubai? What does it offer?
I started going to Dubai about 40 years before, when it was just a sleepy village, but it had a very important role to play in the Middle East. It was the conduit for all the rest of the Middle East that we could not reach directly. So that's when I started my Middle East journey. For 40 years, I've been going there every year, and with every passing year, the frequency just increases. And now I'm there every 2 months for a week. I established a subsidiary of my company in Dubai 5 years back. I established another company recently in DMCC. I think it's one of the best places on earth to do business. And I've been saying this for the last 6-8 months to all my members, that please put a leg outside this country. It's very essential. You will get an air of freedom completely, economic freedom, once you go there. It is something you cannot experience here. You will not experience here for the next 30-40 years. Because however much we talk of ease of operations, ease of business, there is nothing like Dubai on earth.
Rishi, you were talking to me that you had a big story to say. So let's hear what's your point of view on this.
Basically, I founded a company there, and what I found is very transparent rules and regulations, ease of doing business, non-interference from the government as long as you stick within the rules and regulations and laws, freedom of capital, very large manpower, and excellent labor relationships. The government rules protect both the employers and the employees. So, all in one, it's a one-stop shop. Anyone wants to start doing business out of India, anywhere in the world, your first stop should be Dubai. For people, life in Dubai is lovely.
In a special session, Manisha Gupta of CNBC TV 18 had a one-on-one chat with Gautam Sashital, CEO of DMCC, on trade and commodities scenario of Dubai.
First of all, there's this figure of perhaps $100 billion being floated around, talked about a lot, about bilateral trade between Dubai and India until 2020. What is your sense on that, and where do you see all of this investment coming into? What sectors?
Let's have a look at what the trade statistics are between the UAE and India today. In 2016, it was $60 billion. Now, if you look then at the MOUs that have been signed between the UAE and India this year, in January, 14 new MOUs were signed covering defense, infrastructure, energy, and so on. So these are big investments that are being made in the country, which will obviously significantly add to the trade statistics between the two countries. So 100 billion is a target, and I'm sure that that will be achieved by 2020.
You know, I was also reading someplace on how there are so many companies which approach the free trade zones, and there are so many applicants, etc. How many of them actually do fructify?
See, let's look at DMCC. Today we have over 13,700 companies in our free zone. And every working day we open 7 new companies. Now, why are these companies there? These could be a range of reasons. You have large corporates coming in. So if I'm talking about large corporates from India, Tata Group, for instance, or the UPL Group, or the L&T, these are companies that come and set up in our free zone in order to set up their regional headquarters, or even indeed, in some cases, international headquarters. So that is real business happening over there, because all of these companies are resident in our free zone. Equally, we have an extremely vibrant SME sector, and that sort of mirrors the ecosystem globally of SME versus large corporates. And you need that entire ecosystem of small and big to make it a viable, vibrant ecosystem. That's what we do.
So what sectors would you say have really worked well in the past, and going forward with the changing global scenario, etc., where do you think more investments need to be made, especially in the sector-wise?
The sectors that the DMCC Free Zone have been very successful with, and where we started off with, are commodities based. So if you talk about agri and softs, for instance, we have all the large commodity trade houses in our free zone. If you talk about gold, diamonds, we have the entire sort of industry almost, over 600 companies in those sectors with us. Diamonds, for instance, the trade in diamonds in the UAE was about $3 billion when DMCC was set up in 2002. Today it's around $30 billion. Similar with gold, which today is worth some $50 billion. And if you look at the statistics of trade between the UAE and India, gold and diamonds indeed feature quite square and center of the trade between the two countries. We have over 600 business activities conducted by the companies in our free zone, and they'd be commodity based, equally manufacturing, construction, pharmaceuticals, healthcare in general, telecoms, media. But to answer your question, there's a lot of interest in technology startups as well. So we have the only Google Tech partnered tech hub in our free zone called Astrolabs, where young entrepreneurs come and start up technology enterprises. So technology will be a growing sector as Dubai develops itself into a technology and innovation hub.
Talking about the current events then, and we are in the 4th quarter of the calendar year, the final quarter, would you say that the volumes on all exchanges, whether it's equities or other asset classes for that matter, are very seasonal, cyclical, if I can say that? How do you see that for DMCC, DGCX, etc.?
I think seasonality happens every year.
It does.
So whether it's the summer or the last quarter or whatever, seasonality is fairly normal. But what is more important for derivatives exchanges is volatility. For all exchanges, volatility.
And we have plenty of that.
If there is no volatility, if let's say the Indian rupee is flat or is going in one direction, then futures exchanges will always see a bit of a slowdown in volume. And we said that with the recent volatility in the Indian rupee, we've actually seen volumes go up quite substantially over the last couple of weeks.
Final couple of questions, really. When there's lots changing in the global markets, whether it's politics or whether it's Europe for that matter. The currency movements have been very high. So has been the case with bond yields, etc. Commodity prices have been very volatile, whether it's the metal space, crude, gold, as you just talked about. Do you see a changing pattern for many of these asset classes? I mean, there's more money definitely flowing into equities because we're seeing record highs for many countries onto that one, while the commodities really haven't done so well in sense of price rises. Do you see a different pattern there?
Well, I couldn't predict that. But having said that, commodities have been fairly subdued for the last few years. But if you look in relative terms of where oil was at the start of the year and where it is today, it's a good 15 to 20% higher. If you look at where gold was at the start of the year and where it is today, it's substantially higher. Is that a secular trend? Are commodities coming back into fashion for investors? Gold ETFs have seen a lot of volumes go in this year, so it's anybody's guess.
All the best for that, Gautam. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you very much for having me here.
Pleasure.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.